legacy of servant leadership. So we just start off, it's a discussion lesson. It's not me just standing here. It starts out with the question is, what is servant leadership? Anybody got an idea? This is a discussion, not a proceeding. Okay, I'll do it the old Rick.
So I think that a servant leader is one who is serving, but in such a way to set an example for others, providing leadership. That's what you're looking for? Something along those lines. That's the way I would term the servant leadership. So we're serving at the same time, leading by example.
So, Paul.
Piggyback on that thought. It's to be a leader, but not in a way like a president or Julius Caesar was a leader for their own personal benefit. It's more like somebody that's the leader of an organization where they give back, right? What we do here is we're leaders when we give back to the children. And that's something that we focus on. And we're not in it for our own personal well-being, our own personal notoriety.
Very good.
Aside from our knots.
Yes.
Servant leader also focuses on the individual and helps them to develop to the type of person that they want to become.
You guys have been reading the syllabus? Yes.
I dare say it's important for a servant leader to model the behavior they expect others to have.
Oh, very good. Very good. We understand servant leaders understand servant leadership and scouting and recognize this is what the goals of what we're going to be done here. So how do we define it? We've been defining it. So listening and understanding, I think I heard that. Accepting. What does it mean by accepting?
Accept who they are.
Yeah.
You also accept where they are at the point in time that you are interacting with them.
And if you're a servant leader, what do you do to those around you?
Make them feel welcome.
So then welcome and lift them up. Leads by example. All of you who are here, lead by example. Persuasive. I want you to just go do that. There I'm better. Just go do that. No. Can you or would you be persuasive in what you're doing? Yes.
Help me do that.
Help me. That's one I like a lot. I use that a lot with you when there's an assignment we need to go get done.
The way my scoutmaster, when I was a young scout and a patrol leader for the first time, explained it to me, and he didn't call it servant leadership, but he just said to me, Todd, if you think for a second before you ask somebody to do something, would you do it yourself, willingly and gladly, then you're good. If not, don't ask them.
Sometimes you need to ask stuff that needs to be done, whether you would really
It doesn't mean you can do it, but are you willing to do it?
Yeah, that's true.
It also means that you can tell them why it needs to be done. That part often gets left out.
That's correct. So when we do it that way, we build a team. And in scouting, we may call that a patrol, or we may call it a lot of things. When we were at scout camp this last year, the boys were not, we with the boys group, the girls group's always got it figured out. But with the boys, and we hit Wednesday, and Wednesday they came together. I think we all know the forming, storming, forming, norming, performing. We know that deal, and I said we need to get to Wednesday, and so we were having some other problems. I said we need to get to Wednesday again, and we were having some strife within the troop. We need to get to Wednesday again, because when everybody comes together and becomes a team, and you need to be humble and have humility in what you're doing. Recognize people's shortcomings and your own shortcomings. One of the things I try to do real good is to fill in where I'm not as good. Those around me who are. Hence, look at people are here conducting this, they're all here, I always say they're, in fact, Wendell in the back, I always say his main job is to bail me out all the time. Well, here are some servant leaders and scouting, the key three. Who are the key three? I'm one of them.
Well, for as far as council, it's you and Alan.
That's where it's gonna start with council and then,
But in a unit, it's the COR, the committee chairman, and the scoutmaster.
so they're the key three in almost every level of organization within the scouts. And so those are usually good service. And then we all know about Eagle projects or community projects or just service that we teach the youth. And then the business model. In the syllabus, it talked about the business model of FedEx, whose corporate philosophy is people, service, and then profit. Figuring that if they treat the people right and they give the right service, that the end will be a profitable situation for them. And I think that's a powerful thing. I personally sell real estate, and I always say, I'm not going to sell you anything, I'm going to teach you what you need to do. And I will work for you to get it all done. And at the end, I worry about what comes to me at the end. And if I've done my job correctly, then I'll do well. This is a chart. So in your packet, you have, take one of the blank pieces of paper, and I want you to take and your current, if you have other positions, pick one of your current positions and fill out a quick organizational chart of where you fit and one of your deals and fill out the organization. Okay, you got your organizational charts done? Or have you got it in your mind? So this is the council commissioner. I have assistant council commissioners, district commissioners, then down assistant district commissioners, unit commissioners, on down to roundtable commissioners. But in reality, the way we need to operate is to really take your organizational chart and turn it the other way around. So that the people who are the most important are those above. Because usually you put me at the top, you put yourself at the top and everybody below. It's really the other way around. Organizational chart should be done this way. Here's the people we're serving, and here's the leadership and the importance.
Alan.
Yes. Oh, sorry,
I
Todd.
take it further and take it to those with direct contact with the youth, all the way up to your very newest line then leader. Put them at the top.
Put them at the top. Just why do we want to put them at the top?
Because they have the most influence of the youth. They are right there with them. And if you go to those with the very youngest, starting at the very beginning with the Lions, they are introducing scouting to them. Who could be more important?
Very good. Thank you for the input. What does it mean by opportunity to be exceptional? Yes. Tell me your name again.
Jeffrey Anderson.
Jeffrey.
Hello. No,
I think if you just kind of
lean forward and pretend they're okay. Based on her comments back here, I didn't hear it. To put in the reference of answering this question for me, put the senior patrol leader, set him up so that he can't fail in a way that he puts his talents, his abilities forward so they're visible. The members of his troop and patrol leaders can see that. And they could put that same in any position.
So, but also we set an expectation on mediocrity. But we don't want just mediocrity. If you plan, then you've got that, then you can get that exceptionally. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna say that being exceptional simply means you're going beyond their expectations.
Very good. Going beyond their expectations. Develop other leaders. what do you think that means? I take what the syllabus says, but I'd like to know what you think that means to build other leaders. Why are you here? Oh, yes, Paul.
Well, develop other leaders. As a scoutmaster, my role is to develop leadership skills in all of my scouts, not just my assistant scoutmaster or my chief patrol. So everybody should have. Everybody should get an opportunity to be a leader at some point in time. I think that's the way the troop is, quote unquote, supposed to run.
Correct, and if you've got, yes, Glenn?
I'm gonna say, delegate the leaders the responsibility and also the scouts delegate their responsibility. So that they take charge of what they're supposed to be doing. If you don't, then there's nothing gonna happen. So if you delegate to the assistant scoutmasters or part of the committee to do things that they're supposed to, then that's their responsibility that's taken care of. You have to follow up with that to make sure that they're prepared. In case of merit badge or whatever is being taught, they're ready to do something for that advantage of having.
And so in the syllabus, I like this part because it talks about improving morale, loyalty, and investment into the mission of scouting. It makes the job easier for all of us if we've had good trained leaders lead. I'll get you, Rich.
One of the things we forget there is that if we're going to develop other leaders, we have to let them fail. If they always succeed, they won't learn anything.
You mean you learn from your mistakes, huh?
The only thing you learn from.
Rich, did you have something?
Yeah, there is another approach to this, and that is mainly it's our position in helping the youth to become leaders. But remember, we're trying to develop leaders who will replace us as well. So your leadership team, you need to help them grow so that you can have someone replace you.
So when I talked about,
one of the things about failure, though, is that there's failure where no one wants to come back again. There's failure where you can see that what you did can be done better.
yes,
And in the failure example, I think you want to fail in a safe environment that allows you to progress, rather than an environment where you end up
it's
not wanting to go forward.
It's not how you fail. It's no. And many times you'll recognize that, oh, this we do stop with the rest of them. Yeah, and continue. So we want to evaluate where we're at. One of the things that I talked about here is when you have, oh, so I'm sorry, Elwood.
I was thinking that when you delegate something, any responsibility or assignment, the person will either do an exceptional job or an all right job, but you always have a one-on-one after the assignment is completed. Help that individual see where they could have done better.
One-on-one, not in front of you. Praise in front of the group, correct, one-on-one. I think that's always a good one. Building a strong interconnected team means you get more done, and it's happier when you get it done. And that it leads everybody to have a point to go back to scout camp Wednesday. Everybody felt really good Wednesday. It was a really good day for those young men. They sang like little angels, believe it or not. Leading well means serving others. So in your packet, you have a list of 20 things. It's DCS 509. I would like you to take that out. We're going to have a little test here. So there are characteristics, 20 characteristics that are on this page. I'm gonna ask some of you to just read one and start with Rich. Read number one and give yourself a point for every one of these but you believe that you're a part of that. Rich, will you read number one?
Sure. Other people come to me when they have problems.
Okay, give your score. Rick, will you read number two?
I have high ethical standards.
Okay. Stuart, will you read number three?
Paper. I think carefully thought through complex situations.
Okay, give your score. Paul Burdette, will you read number four?
I care about the well-being of others, putting their needs ahead of my own.
Okay, give your score. The other Paul, will you read number five? Oh, he's in the room. Todd, will you read number five?
Yeah, me, thanks. I'm tactful, but honest in my feedback to others.
Okay, David, would you read number six?
I take time to develop personal relationships.
Horace, will you read number seven? Oh, all right, Ken, will you read seven?
No, I can't find it.
Oh, okay. All right, listen, I am always able to keep my opinions to myself. You found it, all right, then read number eight.
I give others the space to handle difficult situations in a way they feel.
Larry, will you read nine then?
I have written a personal thank you note for another volunteer reason.
Paul Ferris, will you read 10?
People who know me, trust me.
Roger, will you read 11?
Involved in community activities.
Wendell, will you read 12?
I come up with new or creative solutions to ongoing problems.
Kevin, will you read 13?
I make others feel good about their contribution.
And Steve, will you read 14?
Okay. I hold myself accountable for my commitments.
Mike Perkins, will you read 16?
I listen more than I talk.
I love you, Mike. Elwood, would you read 17?
Sure. My integrity is my most valued characteristic.
Let's see, who have I missed? Somebody volunteer. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
18, I want others to succeed even if it means they do better than me.
And then Christine, will you read?
I am willing to carry the burdens of other people.
And Kenny, will you read 20?
I see leadership as an opportunity to serve others.
How many got 20? You don't have to raise your hand. I think it's an exercise. Maybe a reminder to each of us what we need to be doing. We can write on that. Meeting yourself 1.3. That's already did that one. True leaders must be for the benefit of the follower, not to enrich the leader. John C. Maxwell. I think that's a great thing. One of the things that I thought as I was preparing for this, and I fussle with this a lot when I do these lessons, and I think sometimes even I think I learn more. I think everybody learns more when they teach. That I'm speaking to the choir, and that there are people here that are great leaders. Sometimes you need to recognize what leadership really is, and sometimes to rehearse exactly what is important in leadership. Many leaders impact the here and now. Servant leaders impact the future generations, which is one way of leading the lives. Leadership is everybody's responsibility. That's everybody's responsibility, correct? Even down to that brand new scout that just came in, or that new lion or tiger. As we teach that their parts are different as their education. Over there's a this place for NYLT. I've been a proponent of having youth that I've been involved with go to NYLT, the troop that I'm involved with. We sent 4 or 5 last year. Five last year. That leadership that comes from that is so important. I see a lot of wood badge beats. Yes. I forget your name. Tell me your name. Alan. Oh yes, Alan Crown.
How many have been sent boys to nail? That's a
Remind me
great
what
experience.
Remind me what NAIL is.
National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience.
Oh,
It's not training, it's experience.
it's an experience. Okay.
You have to go to NYLT and then you go to NAIL.
Then you're gonna. I have never had any youth that I've been involved with NAIL. Guess Larry, we better start figuring that one out.
Yep, I'm writing it down as we speak.
I'm working on one.
You're working on one, Paul.
Parents want them to get a job, so gotta to crack that.
Another thing, Rick, Alan,
Yes.
how many of us have been to PLC or SLC?
What are those?
Belmont Leadership Training.
Oh, yes.
Training or challenge?
Challenge.
Challenge. Okay. It's been a long time. Okay. Back to this. Teaching is one way of serving. We all need loving critics feedback as a kid. Anybody heard that before? Anybody heard that before? We talked a little bit about how that needs to be administered. It needs to be administered one-on-one, grace in public, direct and private. And lift always. A good leader always lifts everyone. A good leader, yes.
We also need to be the kind of person ourselves that is approachable, that can take feedback from others. We need to make it safe for them. Chad Rapier.
Yeah, thank you, Chad.
We need to make it safe for others to give us feedback when we need it too.
That's correct.
It does.
Feedback's a gift, right?
That's right. That's that invaluable gift. The value of constructive feedback. Forward looking as a leader is a prerequisite. What does that mean? What?
You have to realize that tomorrow is another day, and whatever setback you may have experienced presently, tomorrow is a day to go forward.
Good. Good. Sometimes I get talking. Leadership. Commissioners are leaders. What kind of difference do you want to make? Take responsibility. And if not you, then who? If not you, then who? Now I look at this group right here as ones who need to teach that. Teach this. One of the things as when I was in positions to over the scouts and stuff is to ask leaders to commit. One of the commitments I always made was to ask them to go to wood badge. Because most of the people who go to wood badge come away with a different understanding of scouting. I did. I come away with an understanding that scouting wasn't about tying knots, bear badges, and handouts. It was about youth and leaders growing together and teaching youth to be the leaders and giving them direction. And so that's what I think true leadership is. Then we need to teach. Is teaching one way of serving people? Yeah, it is, isn't it? He who teaches learns twice. That's an old Chinese thing. And as I said, I think I mentioned that just a minute ago, but I didn't quote this because I knew it was coming up. So you learn twice. That's why it's important that we teach and we have people prepared to teach. That's all they can see through stories. And I'm going to tell you a story that's very dear to me. I was a scoutmaster one day, and assistant scoutmaster convinced a young man to live across the street from him. He lived with his aunt. And he needed some direction, so his aunt let him come to scouts. All the older boys were headed off to one of his dads was work. Because he would, they didn't have any processed milk. He worked at the Smith plant in Clayton. One of the boys said, well, that's my, one of the younger boys, was one of his sons was in the troop. He said, that's my dad. The other boy said, well, my dad does this and my dad does this. And Damien, the little boy across the street from assistant scoutmaster, lived with his aunt, says, I don't know who my dad is. And I said, well, Damien, you just don't live with your dad. He says, no, my mother has never told me who my dad is. My heart broke right there. And I said, during the time he was in my troop, he lived with his aunt and his grandmother, and his aunt, and another aunt bounced around. They wouldn't let him go to Louisiana where his mother was because he was behind in school because she had held him out to attend the other kids. My grandma liked what scouting did for her grandson. He got his eagle. He's still to this day, he just finished college, got a job. And one day they were having a father and son outing. And Damien said, well, I don't. And Damien was going down. I said, Damien, anytime you want to talk to your dad. He was in the same grade as my granddaughter. He went the next day and told her that he was wrong. Pass on a legacy. Stories. We all have stories that touch people's hearts. I hope that story touched your heart and made you think of why we do what we do. Leadership is personal. I've tried to learn a lot of his names. Some of them I've been good at, and some of them I haven't. But I'll give them now. I'll try to do that real hard. There again, we're back to loving critics. Feedback is a gift. I don't know if I think we beat that one pretty much to death. I think it's just so important that we do that. Forward thinking. So what does it mean to be forward thinking?
Alan?
Yes, all kinds.
Yeah. I think one of the things about forward thinking is having a yearly plan.
Oh, a yearly plan.
So now, if you know what's going to happen in June and you're in July, now you can start planning and getting things all ready and prepared so that when you get to June, you're not looking around, well, we can't do that because we're not ready. Or, slopping something together real quick because we didn't prepare. So that, to me, that's forward thinking.
Yes.
You also need to write things down because if they're just held up here, they're often forgotten or we get busy and we forget, or if something happens in our life and we change. But all of your ideas need to be written down so you can refer to them as you're planning for the future.
Paul, and now what I see now, we're moving back there.
I think it's like pieces of a puzzle. What I mean by that is you have to think about how your actions are going to fit in with your consequences and how those consequences, whether good or bad, are going to fit in with the next thing. So you always plan with a purpose of where you're going to be or what your result is going to be 2 or 3 steps ahead. That's where, when I think about forward thinking, I think how to kind of parlay what we're doing today into like what he said, like June, July's results.
Last year I was down at Philmont. I went to an area where they dropped the boys off, the crews off to one of the tracks. The first thing to learn is how to orient their map, find out where they're going. You've got to have a goal, place that you're headed to. You got to know where you're going and how to get there. It may not be in a straight line, but you got to be able to follow the course, get to that where you want to be.
Leaders are forward. You don't have to be the leader to lead. And many times we talk with the youth as we talk about how to train them to be a leader. We've used the words of shadow leadership and those things. And so we take, at least in bench, we use the senior patrol leader. And as I was a court director, I would call the senior patrol leader over and whisper in his ear and he would tell him if he was not had it. We didn't do everything covered in our ELC meeting. Yes, families.
I think sometimes too, when we hear leaders, we think we have to be in front, but really we can be behind, pushing and guiding.
Sometimes hurting the cats.
Yeah.
We've done one of the tigers, no,
It's in your life. The person you lead in life, you lead. Use each day to make a difference. Each act contributes to your lasting legacy. So everybody got your paper like this. Turn it over. And you got a couple minutes to write your obituary of what you want people to say about you. Pick the paper up. We haven't got a pen. We've got some extra pens right there. Turn that one over. I want to see it. Nice. That will be graded. It will be graded. Not my picture. That's what you failure. David, I know you're young, but you got this.
I don't have a QR code on it.
Have 10 minutes.
Say again.
I say if you click the forward, you're good.
Oh,
Because you run footsteps. I was getting lost.
was you getting lost?
Yeah.
Kenny's over there bailing like, you know what, out again?
No, I caused your problem.
Oh.
I got this mouse right here and I bumped it. I didn't know that I moved it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you understand what it means. Leading is not about what we gain from others, but about what others gain from us. What other people say about you will not be about what you achieve for yourself, but rather what you achieve for others. What matters is not how big the campfire you built, but how well you kept others warm, how well you eliminated the night and made others feel safe, and how beautiful you felt the campfire. How beautiful you left everything contact. The part of leaving a legacy is those very important things that we do. So we all want to leave a legacy. I think some people, my older brother calls me a scout crazy. And it's because of the experience that I've had in scouting that leads me to help others to have that effect. I know what scouting has done for me, for my personal, and I hope I touched other lives. My youngest son one day gave me the highest compliment. Sitting in my office, and I have a picture of my family above my dad. A man came and asked me, how many sons do you have? I looked at my son and I said, Nick, how many sons do I have? And he says, Dad, you have hundreds of sons. That's a legacy that I would like in my obituary. So I touched hundreds of young men's and young ladies' lives. Oh, already did that one. Get shot out here. Servant leaders listen, build teams, lead by an example, and demonstrate humility. Commissioners should understand how servant leaders impact scouting. Servant leaders leave a legacy because it endures. We've gone through a lot in the last couple of years. We've had COVID attack us. We've had the LDS Church re-scouting. We've had a bankruptcy on the national level that has caused a lot of negative press. Gladly, we've had a judge in Delaware who recognized the value of scouting and says, no, you will not shut the scouting completely down. Scouting does good things for people around the world. I've seen scouting change people's lives at the celebration. The Eagle. What was the last one we did?
Outstanding Eagle.
Outstanding Eagle Award. And Blake Moore talked about how, as a young man, he was up for the Heisman for high school young men, and he won it. And Blake Moore is the congressman from the Weaver County area, and he said that he won it. And one of the people who were in charge of it said, the fact that you had Eagle Scout written down on your application was one of the things that I put you ahead of other people, recognizing the good that comes from scouting and leading by an example. We have just a couple of minutes. Any final comments that you have that you want to make, or observations that we need to miss? I think we've had a good discussion. Chad, you look like you got something right on the tip of your tongue. Just because I remembered your name, that's why I said
okay. I did have a thought though, as commissioners especially, and part of our acts of being humble is realizing that we don't know it all. And when somebody comes to us for help, it's okay to admit that. You help find an answer, but it's okay to say that you don't know and be a partner in getting a solution that person we're serving needs in their unit or their organization.
Yeah, I think you had a comment.
Yeah, and all these topics and thoughts that you presented here, I've seen them packaged in other ways, but never packaged as well as these slides.
Yes.
Did. Are they proprietary, or can we?
Well, they're just no, you can cheat and go see what I skipped through or what I paraphrased. You can go right to the Commissioner College. They can go right to 509 and fill the syllabus right up and that thing. I can teach from it. That's what I believe it's all about, to help other people. Yes.
Let's have a quick comment that we're assuming as commissioners, in order to be a servant leader, that we have to visit these units. We have to be around them enough so they know who we are, that they can trust us, and we can actually be a servant leadership to them, because without visiting the units, You know, we can learn all we want.
Oh, and sometimes you need to know people on a personal level.
Absolutely.
I don't think is there anybody in here that I didn't shake your hand while you came? Oh, good, I got my, what I wanted to accomplish.
Well done.
So I'm a real people person. I know people all the time, I love people. But I also tell people I'm a quiet and shy person, and it usually gets a laugh. Or you got something to say?
Reach that far, shake my
But, oh, your hands were full when you came in. That's right. I'll get you later, Bush. Yes.
I'd just like to say I'm grateful for the commissioners that we do have because they're out with the units and they're listening, giving me feedback for ways to help. Our recruiting efforts have gone above and beyond because of the information my unit leaders and my commissioners are feeding back to us. So you have no idea how important your role really is in making a district so successful.
Yeah, and
Be lost with that.
this young lady over here is the superstar of our recruiting efforts this year. Well done, well done.
Because of that.
Well, skill, servant leadership is how it gets done. Yes.
It's important to remember that character and integrity are lasting values. And everyone respects that, whether they say it vocally or silently.
That's why we do this every time we meet. Isn't that why we do the whole law? Our own slogan. And some of us do the outdoor code. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation, that you learned from that, and that you recognize yourself